Hello, hello. All right. So for those of you just joining me, I have my page over here and my group over here. So hopefully I'm not like looking like that. So I'm looking at both of you, okay? So as you guys hop on, do me a favor and post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. All right, so if it's your first through third time catching me live, post a 1 below. So I know you are new, so I can say hello and tell me where you're from. If you want to tell us a little bit about your little one, that would be awesome. And we will get started. We want to get to know you, especially over here on the group. You guys, are my faves. Sorry, Paige, but, I do love my group, okay? So if you're not part of my group over here on the page, just put in the search bar, Autism Mama Rocks the IEP group, okay? And join the group, all right? Because the group is where everybody talks, right? So I have not been as active on the group as I would like to be, so I apologize for that. I have been so overwhelmed. This is like, I call it IEP season, and that is what we're in right now. It's crazy. But, we're almost through it, but I actually have, IEPs all the way up to July. And then what happens? Everything's starting all over again in mid-August, right? Hi, Cindy. Hi, BB. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Kristen. How are you? Hi, Christina. Make sure you guys say hello over here on the group, and you guys on the page as well. Post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie, and make sure to share. Okay, so I did a live, I believe it was last week, don't quote me on that, but I saw some questions over here in the group on ESY, like what's ESY? And I know that not everybody just goes up and says, oh, click, onto the, videos and just, you can figure out what I've been talking about. But so I'm going to go over it really quick. This is your tip, okay? And I'm going to go over, how your goals should look for ESY. All right. You'll probably be a little bit surprised. All right. So ESY. All right. Yes. Don't forget. Hey, Erin. Hey, Erin Elizabeth. How are you? Make sure you post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live, and make sure you tell me where you're from. All right. I have this thing where in 2021, I want to do all 50 states. I've done 41 so far. You guys got to help me out here, okay? No, seriously, I am excited because I think I'm going to make it, and it's looking pretty good. I think that's awesome, though, right? Okay, so ESY, guys, is extended school year, all right? So it's basically for a child with an IEP, all right, that needs more time. All right, that needs consistency. Hi, Shauna, North Carolina. Awesome. Hi, Sherry. How are you? Hi, Tamra. Okay, so, it's extended school year for children like my own daughter, okay, who needs that consistency. All right, that's not what it's all for, but I'm just giving you an example. Okay, so my daughter needs consistency. If her schedule is changed. Oh, Caryville, Texas. Awesome. Guys, real quick. I'm flying out to Texas on June 19th. So any of you Texas babes, I would love to meet up with you. I'm going to see my dad. He's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but my brother lives in Austin, so I'll be kind of between the two. So I'd love to catch up with you guys. So my cousins live in McKinney, then I'll be near Denton area, and then of course I'll be in Austin, then I'll be in Dallas. So if you guys are there, I would love to meet up with you. We can have a big lunch or something. All right, so extended school year, it's not daycare. All right, you can go watch my video where I did a long video on ESY. I'm not going to do that tonight, but what I wanted to do is let you know that it is not daycare, but it has to be provided if it's needed and appropriate for your child in order for FAPE to be given to your child, which they are entitled to in the school system. Okay? So, and that's in any school that your child's in. Okay? Now, private schools are different. If it's paid for by the state, it has to adhere to the IEP. If it's not paid for by the state and you pay a private school on your own, then those are a little bit different rules and regulations, okay? Charter schools, you know, I have my New Yorkers and, you know, other people who go to charter schools. If it's paid for and it's within like the public school arena, yes, it's included. If it's not and it's like a private thing, then again, it kind of goes hand in hand with that private school if you're taking that on yourself, okay? So you'll have to find out all the rules and regulations that pertain to that, okay? All right, so ESY, I'm going to go through the 7 reasons for ESY, all right? I'm not going into detail on it, but I'm telling you that ESY is extended school year. You can go watch my long video on ESY, all right, that's posted up in the videos. But these are the reasons your child can get ESY. Number 1 is regression. I'm sure you hear that all the time. Oh, your child hasn't regressed, so they don't get ESY. Well, that's not true because regression is just one of the 7. All right, number 2 is recoupment. Say they lost something. So for example, this year, right, a lot of our kids are going to get what's called compensatory services, you know, to make up, to recoup what they lost during COVID, okay? Number 3, look, I can't even hold my hands up. All right, is regression recoupment. So whether they have difficulties with regression or recoupment, the two can actually go together, all right, and it can then maintain the skill, all right. Number 4 is mastery, all right, to the extent to which the student has mastered the goals, all right, and consolidated them. Skylar and my husband are home from the gym, so. All right, so self-sufficiency and independence, all right. So daily living actually goes into this, believe it or not. Jake, you don't need to cry. They're here. They're coming. They're coming. I have a little hot dog, and he just, you know. All right, so mastery, to the extent to which the student has mastered and consolidated an important skill, okay? Hi, Jess Ann, how are you? Hi, Christine. How are you? How are you? Okay, so it's going to get loud in a second. They're coming in. You know me. I just got to go live when I can go live. All right, so successive interruptions, all right? So that can go hand in hand with like behavior, all right? So behavior is obviously another one. If behavior impacts the child's ability to, you know, acclimate, all right, to address, to be in, to partake in the gen ed setting, okay? Basically, it's called their impact of disability, all right? So their impact of disability is a big deal because anything that impacts their disability in the educational setting can go into play when it comes to ESY or anything else in regards to education and special education and the IEP, all right? The next thing is self-sufficiency and independence. Did I say that one? Successive interruptions. I think I just talked about that one. And then the 7th one is severity of the disability. All right. So if your child's disability is a bit more severe, all right, and it could enhance it. Like I said that, you know, my daughter, her disability isn't so severe, but she has a history of behaviors when taken out of her comfort zone, when taken out, totally normal for kids with autism, right? Shoot, take me out of my comfort zone and I'm going to have all kinds of behaviors. But, you know, really it's, you know, she does not like her schedule disrupted. All right. She likes to know what she's doing, at what time, how long you're doing it for, and so on and so forth. All right. So when her day, her stuff gets messed up, that's when she has meltdowns. All right. And behaviors can escalate. All right. So it's very important to address ESY. Unless it is the last day of school for you guys, and usually it's like within the 5-day period, you can still ask for ESY. Don't ever, ever, ever allow the school system to say, oh, your child doesn't qualify. Then your question is okay, let's have a meeting. And then your next question is based off what? Why does my child not qualify? And what are you basing that off of? Are you basing it off of data? Are you basing it off of subjective data or objective data? And how do I know what you're basing it off of? Because I need to participate in the IEP meeting as an equal team member. So please provide me what it is that you're basing it off of. Okay? Never take their word for it. Never accept no. Find out why and get to the bottom of it. Do not, hold on. Just accept, oh, your child doesn't qualify. They haven't regressed. They haven't regressed. I hear that all the time. They haven't regressed. They haven't regressed. They haven't regressed. I don't care. I don't care if they've regressed or not. I hope they didn't. Okay? I actually hope they didn't. So, but your child can still get ESY. I say this year, go after recoupment. All right? Because all children, there's no way that, children with more, the middle to higher end of disabilities progress this year. There's just no way. It's just, not really humanly possible, if you will. If your child did, then please, I want to talk to you. Because kudos to that school system, really, and to those teachers. So, but I hope your kids didn't regress. I know so many did. Believe me, I know. But hopefully they, I hope there's lots of kids out there that they at least stayed the same, because it's been one messy year. And just so you know, next year's not going to be 100 times better. It's going to be better, but it's not going to be 100 times better. You have school systems that are going to be acclimating back into school if your kids haven't been full-time in school or they've been hybrid. You have school systems that are now transitioning teachers, possibly, where teachers are quitting. Let's see, I have questions here. My oldest progressed, youngest has not. Well, that's great, right? Awesome. Awesome. So if you're just joining the group, hello. Make sure you post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. That's awesome, Christina. So awesome. All right, guys. Who else is joining us? All right. Hi, Jessanne. How are you? Hi, Christine. All right. The link for the live you did 4 days ago, full on ESY, we'll post in the group. Awesome. So Erin's going to post the ESY one that I went into detail in the group for you guys. Hi, Kristen. How are you? My son has made some good progress this year, but it makes me think where he would be if COVID didn't happen. I got you. Yeah. And I'll be honest with you. The kids that progressed, tell me if I'm wrong, I believe it's moms and dads and grandmas that did that because you guys worked with them and gave them, hi, is it Narika? Welcome. Where are you from? I believe that us parents and, family members and foster parents and everybody out there, I actually just worked with my first foster parent. I thought that was so awesome. We work really hard at helping our kids, right? Yeah, Cindy. Hey, how are you? Did I miss you? How are you? So, kudos to you guys, really. Now what's really going to be in the cards is because of you, your child progressed, right? I wonder what's going to happen next year. That's going to be interesting, right? I'm Dominican. I live in Boston for 25. Awesome. That's awesome. That's great. Okay, so that is what you need to know. It is not too late to get ESY. Ask for it. Allow your child to get it. They deserve it, and they are entitled to it if they qualify, and most do. All right. Jacob has gotten almost all A's and B's this year, 1 C. He's doing 7th grade math in 5th grade. That's awesome. Yay. That's so awesome. I'm so excited for him. That is so great. Yay, yay, yay. Look, I think I can do an applause. Look. Look at that. All right. So, the next thing I'm going to talk to you about. All right, really quick. We've been pretty lucky with school being in person. Yes. See, and the thing is not only are you lucky that it was in person, but a good school system, I'm assuming, the school is giving Jacob free summer camp. Yes, yes. ESY, like I said, go listen to my old ESY that I did last week, because ESY is not just, hey, go to school for 4 hours a day, do this, and this, get services, okay, go home. Mm-mm. My daughter did horseback riding camp. It was called therapeutic riding. She did a drama camp that she actually had, her buddy was a gen ed student, and that was awesome. And then at the end, they did a, like a skit kind of thing. She's done all kinds of stuff. She's gone to camps to be, to do the socialization thing. So as long as it goes into, what their goals could be, whether that be socialization, like the horse and therapeutic riding was amazing. So if your child has a lot of issues with sensory, if your child has a lot of issues with, like, she didn't understand, nice, not nice, soft to the touch, rough, I can't even say it right. Like, she would just like kind of hit everything. This was several years ago. And she didn't understand like that, how rough she was being. And so she learned actually to not do that with horses. It was very interesting. Then she learned how to ride, and there's just some sort of connection, I think, with horses and children with disabilities. I think there's like a lot of connections, to be quite honest, with just animals in general. They sense things like that. I just think it's such an amazing thing to watch and see. I learned how to work the system when I understood I need to advocate my son. That's awesome. All right, so writing meaningful, measurable goals, okay? So your goals for ESY should be thought of as your goals for next year, okay? So unless the goals that your child had this year they didn't make. So you can carry that over if you'd like to and put that into the summer. So for example, if your child needed to learn an analog clock, okay, so for example, to learn an analog clock, it could be to the half hour, to the hour, dependent on, what it is that the goal is supposed to be, okay? So it's important to understand what the goals are supposed to be and why they're supposed to be like that. And you want to make sure that they're written with clarity and finality. All right. So, for example, I love WH questions. I think it's important. It's something that your child can use as a goal in language and reading and so forth. It can also be used in speech. All right. So you can say, after listening to a short story, I'll just use my daughter's name, Skylar, will answer WH questions: who, what, when, where, why, and how. How is in WH questions. Why? Don't ask me. I have no idea. With 90% accuracy in 9 out of 10 trials, as measured by report data collection and speech therapy logs by such and such date. Okay, so that's how that type of goal would be written. All right, so you can do another speech goal, like, for example, when given 5 pictures or objects and given a verbal model, all right, Skylar will articulate the sound of R, okay, in all positions of words at word level, whatever it is. Okay, so let me say that again, because I'm looking at the goals and they're all like misconstrued. Okay, so let's say it again. When given 5 pictures and objects at a time, Skylar will choose picture object requested by the speech therapist in 9 out of 10 trials at 90% accuracy as measured by report data collection and speech therapy logs by. Okay, so I was like looking at 500 of them at one time. Okay, so a reading goal. Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 reading goals. And this is for a child that is like K through 3. All right, is what I'm giving. So it can say Skylar will produce appropriate skills to improve phonemic awareness by segmenting words. And what I mean by that, for example, all right, foot plus ball equals football. All right, syllables, and then fish plus ES equals fishes, and phonemes. Okay, so the segmenting is the foot plus ball equals football. All right, the syllables is the FISH, fish, plus ES. All right, and then phonemes, all right, which is I plus T equals it. All right, in 9 out of 10 trials at 90% accuracy as measured by report data collection by. All right, so one other reading goal can be, all right, and again, this is for a child that is not reading yet, all right, that is building, all right, and is learning that word recognition, all right, to be able to continue and move forward, the phonemes, the phonemic awareness, the phonics, etc. All right. So let me actually give you an older child's goals. All right. And we will do that. So let me pull that up. Okay. So this will be an older child's goals in reading. Okay. So here we go. So Skylar will be able to read a paragraph and be able to visualize and describe keywords of the main idea to express her knowledge of language comprehension and vocabulary in her own words. In 9 out of 10 trials at 90% accuracy as measured by report data collection by. All right, I love this goal. So again, I'm going to say it to you again because this is a great goal. All right, and this has to do with, okay, so once your child has word recognition and they have all their 44 phonemes and they have phonemic awareness and they're able to recognize those words and they have that word recognition down solid, and their phonemic awareness is how it sounds, okay, and how it comes out of their mouth. That is important. And then they kind of move over to what's called, okay, so the word recognition, then they move over to what's called language comprehension. All right. And so language comprehension is the umbrella of like vocabulary and things like that that go under that. All right. So over in word recognition is where that decoding is, the syllables, all of that kind of stuff. So now we're in language comprehension and vocabulary. So Skylar will be able to read a paragraph and be able to visualize, paint that picture in her head, not physically look at pictures. Physically looking at pictures and reading do not go hand in hand. Please don't do that. All right. We'll be able to read a paragraph and be able to visualize and describe key words of the main idea to express her knowledge of language comprehension and vocabulary in her own words in 9 out of 10 trials at 90% accuracy as measured by report data collection. One thing I want you to know, in order for your child to be considered or their goal to be considered mastery level, it has to be at 80%. Okay? For them to be at mastery level in regards to reading, it is 95 to 100%. All right? Schools will tell you 70%, things like that. That is not true. All right? Mastery is 80%. In reading, things have changed. Okay? For example, Texas has brought on the fact that their teachers have now, starting this next school year, have to be proficiently trained in the science of reading. All right. It's starting to go around. All states are starting to do this. All right. Because reading is such a problem in today's day and age in the United States. And it is a big deal. Kids are so far behind. It's a mess. And so schools are now required, not all schools as of yet, all right, but most schools as of now are in the process, and many schools have already brought it on, taken it on. California has taken it on, Texas has taken it on, New York has taken it on, Virginia has taken it on. Many states are taking it on and proficiently training their staff and putting the time and effort into them so that they are proficient in the science of reading. And the science of reading, guys, is not a methodology. All right? Your child does not have to have a methodology in order to learn. All right? If you're anywhere near my age, okay, I'm 43, I'll be 44 in July. I did not learn from a methodology. I learned the science of reading. That's how they taught back in the day. That sounds so bad, like I'm old. But I don't feel almost 44 though. So that should be a good thing, right? Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to be 44. I'm a Leo. My birthday is July 27th. I can't believe I'm going to be 44. I can't believe I just said that. Ugh, now I'm like all distracted. All right, so I'll read you one more goal, and that will be a writing goal, okay? One thing that I'm kind of a stickler about, okay, no, I'm not kind of a stickler. I am a stickler about the fact that schools will say, oh, the child gets really frustrated when they write, so we're not going to have them write. We're going to have them type instead. All right, so I have to have a conversation with mom or dad or grandma, and I have to say, because they sometimes are on board with that. Like, oh, okay, my child gets frustrated. I don't want my child to be upset. I don't want them to cry. I don't want them to, have enhanced behaviors. So I'm not going to allow them to write. I'm going to let them go ahead and type on the computer because I don't want them to have a fit. I don't want behaviors to happen. All right. Thanks, Christina. I hope I don't, I don't want to be 44 yet, but it's okay. It's okay. So it's super important to, make sure, all right, these things are in place. All right. So you do not want your child to not be proficient in these things. All right. So I want you to stay focused. You just totally threw me off, Christina. Oh. All right, so I'm going to talk about the writing goal. So what I was saying is that, I lost my train of thought because Christina was talking to me. It's all her fault. No, so you don't want to take writing away from your child, all right, unless they can proficiently write and it's legible. I always say, if your child can write a check, all right, can write a check, not literally speaking, okay, but if they were to write a check, would it be legible in order for them to be a productive citizen in today's life? Not that anybody writes checks anymore. I do everything by my phone, but you know what I'm saying. All right, you still got to kind of old school it with that because you don't want your child growing up and not knowing how to write just because they have meltdowns or they have fits or whatever. Unless they physically cannot do it, make them write, guys. Okay, they should learn how to write. All right, it is a functional goal. All right. And typing is just as important because in today's day and age, what happens? We're typing all the time and we're on the computers and so on and so forth. So that is a good thing, but both are good. So you don't want to get rid of one because of the other being more convenient. All right. If there's behavior problems, then you address the behavior. You don't run away from things because there are behaviors. You address the behavior. That should be in a BIP and handled there. And then the academics still take place. Don't run away from the behavior. All right, let the behavior happen, keep the writing going ahead, address the behavior in the BIP. All right, so a writing goal. When presented with 10 words containing apostrophes, Skylar will separate the words into possessive nouns or contractions and state the reason for the apostrophe. All right, for example, changing cannot to can't. All right, the bone of the dog to the dog's bone. All right, so things like that. So, the child would be writing that. Another writing goal can be when presented with a series of sentences, omitting capitalization. So it can be anything. Honestly, it can be anything you want it to be. All right. A good writing goal that I actually like is that your child will write legibly with appropriate grammar and punctuation. All right. So Skylar will write a paragraph legibly with appropriate grammar and punctuation in 9 out of 10 trials at 90% accuracy as measured by report data collection. That's one of my favorites because it's talking about legibility, it's talking about punctuation, and it's talking about grammar. All right. You can do, capitalization if you want, whatever it is, but I like to do that because that is basically the goal in whole, which is the goal of writing, period. All right. And then of course you can build with your goals in regards to, writing and that sort of thing. All right. So these are really important to understand because goals are what your child is supposed to be working on. I'm sure you do. So it's really important to make sure that you have structured goals and goals written that are clear, concise, and make sense. All right. I had a client that I was talking to a little bit ago while I was getting my nails done. And look, see my nails? I love them. All right. I'm going to share them with you. Okay. We were talking the whole time I was getting my nails done, and she was going over her IEP with me. And she was, telling me that the school district and the IEP that I couldn't make it to. So, I'm going to her next one, that her son is, behind several years in reading and math. All right. He's going into 8th grade. He's on a 3rd grade level. So obviously FAPE isn't being provided, but the retarded school system, excuse my language, but the school system is so stupid. I mean, I'm so over this school system. So any of you guys that are in like Tennessee sucks. I mean, this school system is something else. And so they basically said, oh, we'll give him 30 minutes of reading and math, direct instruction. 30 minutes. He's on 3rd grade level going into 8th grade. Like, what is wrong with you? But then in 8th grade, hear me, it's all other kids in math and reading get 70 minutes. What's wrong with that picture? Okay, what are you going to take the child out, give them 30 minutes of reading instruction during reading, and then send them back to class to be in a reading class with other 8th graders on a reading level that they don't even understand? So you're basically going to say, hey, here you go, plop, have at it. Hopefully you figure it out. Seriously? No. Okay? A child with disabilities has to receive equal to children with non-disabilities. So if children with non-disabilities get 70 minutes of reading every day, then a child with disabilities should get 70 minutes of direct instruction every day, because or even small group direct instruction, which small group direct instruction is 5 kids and under, and or direct instruction. Because this child is older, I think that direct instruction group could be beneficial if the children are equal to this, about the same wavelength in where they are, and or above, because that's important. They cannot be below one another or they're not going to build. All right. Hi, Edward. How are you? So that is very, very, very important. Okay. So the same thing with math. Oh, I'm going to give you 30 minutes of direct instruction math. Then I'm going to send you back to class in 8th grade, which can emotionally damage a child. Literally. It can cause anxiety. It can cause depression. It can cause them to be made fun of. Not okay. All right. So the school's basically saying, hey, we'll give you 30 minutes of direct instruction. Then we're going to send you back to class so you can be with the other 8th graders so that you're in the gen ed classroom, because that's really important. It is, guys. It really is. But if they are doing 8th grade math and your child's on a 3rd grade level, you want them having that direct instruction, whether that's 5 and under in a group or 1-to-1. All right, you don't want to send them over to the 8th grade class and say, hey, I know you're on a 3rd grade level. We're doing 8th grade math, but you know what? Come join us. Have at it. We know you're going to progress. We really know. We know that you're going to go from 3rd grade to 8th grade this year because you're being put in this classroom. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense. Hi, Cheryl. How are you? So, I mean, I'm being a smartass, really, but it just pisses me off because why would you do that to a child? It's setting them up for failure. All right. And I say this all the time in reference to services, speech therapy, occupational therapy, music therapy, occupational therapy, whatever, yes, I think all children should be in the gen ed setting. I think that every accommodation, modification, service, etc. should be provided to them, even one-on-one, so that they can be in the gen ed setting. I don't think that children should be stuck in the special education setting if they can have every single accommodation that they need, every single modification they need, and one-on-ones provided to them at all times to be in the gen ed setting. But, if in the gen ed setting, for example, math and reading specifically, honestly, I don't care about science and social studies. I think that they should stay in the gen ed setting, let them catch up, let them learn, let them have fun with it, let them be with their peers. It's okay. It's just one of those things. But math and reading, absolutely not. They need to be taken out to the resource room, not to the special education room if they're in gen ed full time. All right. If your child, and then once they're taken out into the special education or into the resource room, that's where they'll get the direct instruction, whether that's 5 and under in group or that's 1-to-1. It doesn't matter. But they can't be thrown into the gen ed setting for math and reading if they're not at that level, especially 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. It's 5 years. Not okay. You cannot do that to a child. Now, if a child was 1 year behind, I don't know. I think I would, say, hey, you guys make that decision, I don't know. That would be, to the max for me, 1 year behind, or the minimum, I should say. But I just, I think it's very unhealthy to put anybody, not just a child, into a position where they're set up for failure. They're set up to feel insufficient, and they're set up to feel as if they are less than. I think that's wrong, and I think it's shameful of school systems to even say, oh, we don't want to take them out of the gen ed setting. We just don't want to do that. We want to keep them in the gen ed setting. So we're not going to take them out for direct instruction, whether that's a small group of 5 or less or 1-to-1, because we want them in the gen ed setting. I'm almost done, babe. You can stay down here.
Taking her food to sleep.
What?
Taking her food
to
sleep.
My husband's taking Sky's food upstairs, so she's not loud. So it's just not cool. It's not, but other than math and reading, so you take them out for math during math class in the gen ed setting, and you take them out for reading during reading time in the gen ed setting. So they're not missing anything else, So and if you guys have questions, let me know. Okay. And make sure you guys say hello. All right. If you are jumping on, post a 1 below. If it's your first through third time catching me live, post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie, and say hello and make sure to share. Okay. So yeah, that's just my thoughts with it. But I think it's really important to have kids happy and have them feel like they are making progress and giving them the opportunity to do that. And helping them in succeeding, for example, taking them out if they need speech, taking them out if they need occupational therapy, instead of listening to the school say, oh, your child needs occupational therapy, but we're going to bring the occupational therapist into the classroom. If your child really needs occupational therapy, it's not going to be effective in the classroom. The child needs services specifically, typically, normally for a reason. And if they don't have that service, then it's going to be a disservice to them in the gen ed setting. So their whole thought process is twisted. It's like, hey, we want your child in the gen ed setting. We don't want to take them out of the gen ed setting, but they have speech issues, they have occupational therapy issues, but we're going to let them have those issues. We're going to let the occupational therapist come and consult, and hopefully you make some progress because they're going to consult for 15 minutes a week or something like that. Not going to work, guys. Not going to work. All right, you got to fight these things, you know? So it's very proper case is huge for me to get across to staff. What do you mean proper case? So yeah, it's just really important to be advocates for your kids. It's very important to pay attention to what makes sense and what doesn't. All right. And if it doesn't make sense, then you need to make it make sense. And that means you need to twist it to make it make sense again. Meaning their twisted thought process needs to come back into play and be twisted back up to be normal. All right. And normal is like one of those words that I don't typically use, but it needs to somewhat be normal. Okay. It needs to make sense. All right. You don't say, hey, I'm not taking a child out of the classroom because I know they have speech issues. I know they have occupational therapy issues, but we don't want to take them out of the gen ed classroom. How the hell does that help them? It doesn't. It doesn't at all. Because you're keeping them, okay, the LRE is the LRE. You want them in the LRE. But the LRE never said, and IDEA never said, hey, don't take them out of the classroom for services that they need. Doesn't say that. But the schools will say, oh, well, we want to keep them in the LRE, so, we are not going to take them out to have speech therapy and occupational therapy that they need. That the data says they need. That their evaluation says they need. But we're not taking them out because we want to keep them in the LRE. I mean, how many times I've heard that so many times these days, and I'm like, are you guys kidding me? I mean, don't even go there with me. I mean, you may have gone there with a mom, but I'm into play now, and you are not going there with me. I stop that stuff quick. Don't feed me that bullshit. Come on now. All right? So you got to put a stop to it. Put a stop to it. All right? It is bullshit. I'm telling you now. Call them on their shit. All right? Because it is. And it's doing your child a disservice because they, and you know what bothers me too is the fact that I feel like many people that I work with, okay, are very intelligent people. And yet they're taken for a fool, if that even makes sense, because the school system like manipulates certain things in their verbiage with the parent, and then things ride for a period of time until the parent kind of says something doesn't make sense here, so try to make sense of what doesn't make sense, because if it doesn't make sense, it's more likely than not supposed to be happening. All right, so now you know what ESY is, you know what certain goals sound like, all right, that can carry over into next year. If your child doesn't make progress and you see goals transfer to an IEP, then transfer to the next IEP, then transfer to the next IEP, catch that quick, all right? The minute it does it one time, you need to catch it. You need to find out, get to the bottom of it. That doesn't mean just say, hey, what happened? And they say, oh, well, we tried. She got at 60%. She didn't get to the 80% yet, but, she's making progress. Do you stop there? Do you not say anything after that? Yes, you do. You say, well, what kind of progress has my child made? Can I see the data? What have you been working on? You know that movie, Jerry Maguire? Show me the money. Y'all need to be saying, show me the data. All right? That's like a key part of that movie. Show me the money, right? All right? It should be show me the data. All right? I ain't going nowhere till you show me the data. I want to see it in my hand, black and white, on that paper, in graphical form or written out by date. Okay? All school systems must take physical, objective data. Okay? They cannot just say and do subjective data, which is observation. Okay? If anything on your IEP says observation, remove it. Or, hi Cheryl, how are you? One thing I do is I'm like, you know what? I don't care. Observe all you want. You can observe all day. You can write a darn paper for all I care. I'm not going to read it, but feel free. Because I don't want opinion when it comes to my child's education. It's nothing personal. It's I don't want your opinion when it comes to my child's education. I want facts. I want to see written work. I want to see mathematical problem solving. And that's not just a word problem. That is how they solve the problem. Whether it's right or wrong, I want to see it. Okay? So there's nothing to take offense to when it comes out of my mouth when it comes to the team. It may sound harsh, but it's not personal. It is never personal. IEPs and the conversations within them are not personal. We are not friends. We don't go hang out. We don't go to the movies. All right? This is about my child's education. So I am entitled to ask any and all questions regarding my child's education, even if that is questioning what you're doing, how you're doing it, and if it's productive or not. And if my child's not making progress and you think for 1 second, I'm not going to question you, you're out of your darn mind. And if you think for 1 second that I'm not going to question your ability to teach my child, you're out of your darn mind. Because guess what? Not everybody is for everybody. I'm not an advocate for everybody. I know that. I'm okay with that. But I also know every teacher isn't for every special education or special needs, disability child, okay? That it's not like a gen ed child. If the personality don't fit, you need to keep it moving, and you need to go to somebody that is going to be effective and that's going to be productive, and your child's going to make progress. Because I know my daughter, if she does not like somebody, it's all over. There's no fixing that. All right. I mean, she's all about connection, and if the connection's not there, then we have problems. All right. So why would I put my child in a position to where she's not going to make progress because there's a personality conflict? It's not, oh, Raven wants to choose what teacher. No, that's not the case. It's Skylar is going to choose that, because if they don't mix, they don't mix. So you need to be able to advocate for your child, when it comes to what's going on in that situation. You have to become a problem solver. All right. So those are important things, guys. And always tell your team, this ain't personal. It's not. They will take it personal. They will. And they get offended and everything else. And that's not my problem. That's not. I'm not a heartless person. I'm actually super caring. But outside of the IEP, inside the IEP and inside the IEP meeting, I'm very different than my normal personality of caring, and I'm a crybaby when it comes to children with special needs and disabilities. Rocco, come on, give me a second. Do you guys hear him crying? You guys know Rocco. Those of you who hang with me know Rocco. He's sitting there whining, trying to get out of his cage, because I put him in his cage when I go live. Because if not, he'll run to the window or the door and he'll bark, and it'll be a mess. Hey, Faye, how are you? A connection needs to be there between child and teacher. If there is no connection with child. Yeah, that's right, Kim. So it's just very important to realize, you got to put on that face when you go into the IEP meeting, and then you can take it off when you walk out. It sounds weird. It sounds crazy. I know, but it's something that I had to learn as I was going through my hell, all right, which was figuring out what the IEP was about, that I had been bullshitted for half my daughter's educational career, and felt that it was my fault that she hadn't made progress in so many years. And I learned the hard way, which is why I do what I do, because I don't want other parents to go through what I went through, number one. And number two, I don't want them to take all that time learning like I had to, because it was horrible. It was literally horrible. And so, thanks, Liz, Aaron. But I mean, the main thing, guys, though, what I want to get off and get to you is I know I can be a hard ass. I know I can sound, like, oh my God, she's heartless, she's crazy, but I'm not, okay? And in all honesty, I will work with the team. I come across very, very strong. I do. I would say very assertive, aggressive in the beginning, but I have a purpose for it. It does work. I don't play. I don't bullshit. I will 100% say that. But in all honesty, at the end of the day, what's important to me is your child getting what's needed and appropriate. And Kim says, no, you're not heartless. You're just a go-getter and get the job done. That, it's true. Kim's one of my clients. But it's true, and it's so important. Rocco, if you want to come out, you better stop. Stop. So it's really important to just know that I'm really not a hard ass. I'm really not crazy. But when it comes to special education, when it comes to your kids, when it comes to a child with disabilities and one that can't fight for themselves, then I am very emotionally invested in doing that for them and assisting and helping parents do that and learn along the way. So that's what's important to me at the end of the day. Okay? So just a FYI, I am not a mean person, but I will 100% say I don't put up with school's bullshit. I have no tolerance for it whatsoever. It just infuriates me. I don't think it's fair that parents are put through the things that they have been put through. I mean, I had like a PTSD for a period of time from what I went through. I mean, it was very traumatic. And I'm sure many of you can understand that. And I'm sure many of you who have gone through it can understand and relate. So I think the important thing too is all of us really sticking together and just really being advocates for our kids and, doing the best we can to learn and grow and get what's needed and appropriate at the end of the day for our kids and everything that they deserve. Okay? All right, guys, if you have any questions, post them below. If you're joining, watching the replay, post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. Tell me where you're from. You can tell us about your kids as well. I have my page here, my group here. If you guys are not part of the group, put Autism Mama Rocks the IEP group in the search bar, and I will talk to you guys later. Have a great evening. Bye-bye. Bye, guys.